Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Arden and welcome to YA Book Princess. With the start of November and NaNoWriMo, I've decided that you know what would be fun if we did a Q&A video writing style. So I asked you guys to send me some questions and here we are. That's what we're doing today, but before we get started, I'm a booktuber, a bookstagrammer, a Wattpad and Inkit writer. All my social media links are down below if you want to check me out. Let's just get started. The first question that I have is, as a writer, how did you attract readers in the beginning? And I don't really have any advice because for me, my journey was different. I did start writing in 2014. Actually, I started writing on fanfiction.net way before that, but then I moved on to Wattpad and it was a different time back then, I think. I don't know. It was at a time where bad boy stories were so popular, so on demand, and My Bad Boy Neighbor was my first book that I wrote, and because of the title, it kind of got people's attention and it got on the teen fiction lists, and it's just kind of went off from there. So I don't really have any advice. I guess I would say is just keep on writing. A lot of readers do tend to prefer completed books over ongoing books. And the reason behind that is because a lot of people have gotten burned in the past. They've started reading a book and the author just changed their mind and took it down. So they were like, oh my god, why did I start reading this if it's not going to be finished, blah blah blah. So now a lot of writers just keep on writing, and once it's completed, there's this like surge in readers if you're lucky. So I would just say keep on going, but it's very hard to succeed and it's very hard to get your books out there, so I don't really have any advice. I wish I had one, but whatever was relevant back in the day isn't relevant anymore, and I don't really tend to market my books, or I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest. I write and I am in my own bubble, and then things happen for me, which is so... I understand my privilege and I'm really grateful to my Wattpad community. Also, make friends, support writers, support other Wattpad writers. Like, in order to receive, you have to give to the community. You have to read books, you have to support other writers, you have to, give people shout outs, or like, don't do it because you know you're gonna get something back, but do it because you're genuinely happy for people and because you just want to share stories. So show love, and eventually the same love will be shown back. Question 2. What do you include in your outlining? I don't really outline. One of my videos, if you've seen, I do just tend to plot out a few chapters bits by bits. So I don't tend to be too focused on the little details. I just like to have it very vague but still know what I'm talking about. For example, Kai and Astrid have a great time. This is chapter 28, which isn't gonna happen, but Diana causes drama by talking shit. Addie is with Mark, who's her boyfriend that I forgot about, and then something happens that's already happened, so it's not gonna happen. So that's what happens. I plot out the main points for every chapter, what I want to see happen, and I just make them happen. And sometimes when you outline, obviously you're not gonna use whatever you're outlining. You have to be very vague, so when you plot out books, you don't really spend too much time on it, because if you change your mind, it's just the time wasted, and that really isn't helpful. Next question, how do you come up with good dialogue, funny, clever, etc.? I have the hardest time. Funny dialogue, I think I have to drink a little bit of wine and I have to be in a very good mood to do it. The more you write characters that are just naturally snarky, the easier it gets. My first attempts at humor were so bad, and to the point I was 15 and my attempt at humor, this is me calling myself out because I am disgusted by it, but it would be, oh my god, what is she wearing? She looks like a hoe, for example. I mean, I didn't write that, but like that would be like my type of humor. But then the next character would reply, that's rich coming from the person who did this and this and this, and that would be like my type of humor, which isn't really funny. But yeah, I wasn't a very naturally funny person. I'm not naturally funny. So when I sit down, I do have to have a little bit of wine if I'm writing funny chapters, but it helps when you keep on practicing and keep on writing more and more, and you need to find your own sense of humor. So if you have dark humor, because I have very dark humor where I laugh at that baby jokes, and that's like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but You just have to kind of embrace it. But obviously, I don't write that baby jokes in my books, obviously. The more you write and the more you get familiarized with your characters, the more you figure out what their humor is. So you put yourself in their shoes. Don't think about what you want to say, think about what they would say. What motivated you? So, motivation and inspiration are two different things. Motivation, I guess, would be myself. It would be me wanting to prove myself to other people. It would be me constantly throughout my life feeling like I was not good enough, like people were constantly abandoning me, like I just needed to be this and this and this person. I need to achieve this and this and this, and people would love me. So, one motivation would when I started writing was, oh, I'm gonna finish my book. Everybody says I never finish anything. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna force myself and I'm gonna finish my book. And that's what happened with my Bad Boy Neighbor. So I guess my motivation would be spiting people, because nobody ever believed in me, and I still struggle with that. Nobody ever believes in me now, even with my family, and except my sister. But it was really nice when I got my first million reads, or when I got my 1K, or when I hit number one in teen fiction, and I genuinely cried. I still have that video on my computer that I put on YouTube, because I genuinely cried, because it was the first time anybody ever believed in me, and that's what kept motivating me. That's what kept me motivated to keep on going, to keep on proving more things to myself, no longer to other people, even though it's like nice to say, "Ha, see, you were wrong about me," but like it eventually stops being satisfying, because you're only trying to prove to them, but you're never happy with yourself. So as soon as you kind of process that, and as soon as you realize that you're not doing this for them, you're doing this for yourself, it's like, okay, wow. And then you sit down and you check through all your achievements and you really let them sink in, and it's like, I can do anything now because I have people who believe in me, and that's my motivation, I guess. Also, my writer friends, they keep they're angels. My group chat, Wattpad group chat, and everybody who I've been talking to, is just the Wattpad community constantly blows me away, baffles me. I'm so blown away by the support. I am so blown away by the determination everybody has, by how much they work, by how hard they work, by how dedicated they are, by how empowering. It's really beautiful to see people who relate to you, but you're also able to support and able to see grow. That is, I'll never get used to that. How can you write a proper description? I would start with a logline, make it as short as possible. You only have a few words to capture the reader's attention, and then I would kind of write the full description. So don't make it too much. If you have the love interest, and if it's like a romance book, talk about the love interest. Or if it's a mystery, talk about something like the mysterious that happened in the book. And then talk about the obstacle, what is going on. Like if it's a love story, what is going on between them? What is the obstacle? Is it forbidden love? What's going on? And then like end with like a question, or tie it all together, and that's what I would do. I mean, yeah. Also, when it comes to descriptions, I have another advice, and that would be check your genre. If you're writing teen fiction, go to teen fiction and see what other people, what popular books or your favorite books have for the description and what draws you to them. Point out what it is that you actually like. Is it short? Is it long? Is it, I don't know, humorous? And then incorporate those themes in your book without copying them. Make them your own. What's your favorite and least favorite part of writing? So people don't know this, but my least favorite part of writing is constantly doubting yourself. It's doubting your English. It's doubting your ability to write, to form proper cohesive sentences, and always comparing yourself. But I've learned not to compare my path, my success, to other people's success, because I know I'm not as good as a lot of other writers, but somehow people still enjoy my stories. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters. That is all that is important. I know English isn't my first language, so I should kind of give myself a break. But then again, I call myself a writer, so it shouldn't be an excuse. It's always like this back and forth constant, and it's mostly with my ability to speak and write English. But I know I don't focus on my writing ability that much. I focus on the storytelling aspect of it and the character developments and what I can do to destigmatize mental health and what messages I have to tell to my readers. So, yeah, least favorite part is doubting yourself. My favorite part would be waking up to a message and people telling me how much they enjoyed the story and how much it helped them, and that they wish it to become a movie or a published book. And you know, people believing in it is like, oh my god, maybe it's not as bad as I thought, you know? It's really nice. The support is really nice. That's my favorite part of writing, because I constantly feel like I'm not alone. What's a genre you've always wanted to try but haven't dared? Fantasy, straight up. I don't really have any other genre I want to dive in. I just have fantasy, and fantasy is like, it's my favorite, my heart. I started with teen fiction because it's the easiest to write. You start with a love story and you tell that story, or you tell a story of, I don't know, growing up, and that's it. Fantasy has world building, it has character development, it has lots of blood, lots of descriptions, which is, you know, English, hello, hi. That's like the low point. Fantasy scares me. I did try to write it several times. I actually prefer writing fantasy on my own offline, but I don't want to share it with people because I know I'm no Sarah J. Maas. I know I'm no, I don't know, Jennifer L. Armentrout. I know I just don't write well enough for fantasy. And whereas in contemporary books, that would have been like, my writing skill could have been, I guess, looked over, or it would be like, okay, you get a pass. In fantasy, you don't get any passes. People will judge you for your writing skill. So, what or who inspired you to write your first book? I don't really remember what inspired me to write My Bad Neighbor, to be honest. I guess I just wanted a book with the title My Bad Neighbor, and I wanted to have some fun. I wanted lots of drama. Did it happen? I'm not sure. Did I succeed in writing a good book? Oh, definitely not. My first draft was so bad. So bad. I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely not kidding. I genuinely pity my sister. She had to read all drafts of that book. Ugh. Except the new one. She hasn't read the new one. And I think I traumatized her enough with the old ones, but the new one is genuinely good. So, yeah, I don't, nobody inspired me writing my book. I just needed an escape. I guess that was an inspiration. I just wanted to be inspired by a different world, to forget about my own. What's your usual chapter length, word count wise? Depends on the story. When I first started, my chapters were 1,500 words long. The more I wrote, oh, and I write in fiction, like I said, the more I wrote, I kind of made them longer. So right now, I guess the maximum would be 2,500 words or 3,000. I don't ever go over that, although I did go sometimes, but 2,500 would be like my maximum, and my minimum would be 1,900. What does your file contain? Spring break file. I'm not sure what you mean, but I think I do. Spring break. See? It's all the milestones that we hit. So at first, it has reads. And I hit, when I started writing this, it was at 2.1 million. And right now, I still need to 3.5 and 4 million. I need to check that. So yay. Then we have votes. I don't know how many votes it has, but it has a lot. And then I have like genuine goals, like get rid of plot holes, which I did, rewrite the book, which I did, edit it, which I did, 50k words. That's when I like hit the 50k word count that I, when I was rewriting it, and I did. And then 100k words, which I also did hit. Then I have how many chapters I did, or like edited and like written. So we have 10 chapters up to like 50 chapters. And yeah, then we have this envelope. I hope this is what you were talking about, because otherwise I'm gonna be embarrassed. But in the envelope, there's nothing in it because I already like finished writing it. or rewriting. But I do have this thing which says just like the world, it's little bits about the world. So for example, there are 3 beaches in Coral Reef. One is Rocky Sands, which is for surfers. One is Sunny Cove, which has a water park and is the most popular one. And the third one is Ocean Bay, which is the prettiest and my personal favorite. So Rocky Sands is where Jessie surfs. Sunny Cove is the most popular because it's the biggest and it has like all the stuff. But Ocean Bay is like a little bit more private and a little bit more jungly, and it's, oh, I love it in my head. Are you okay? Bless you. Love you. Then we have the Dock, which is a diving spot, and we have the Riviera, which is Jessie's friend's family hotel. How to include serious topics such as depression. I guess I would say whenever you're doing like a thing that if you're not familiar with it, just do a lot of research and make sure that you're educated on it so that you don't spread misinformation, that you don't harm the community. I would say just ask people who have experience, who either have worked in the field or if you know someone who has it, if they're willing to talk about it. But you have to be careful because nobody has to talk to you. It's not their obligation. But if they do want to, it's always nice to have a personal own voice perspective, have them be able to explain it to you, because then not only are you going to learn and going to be also more empathetic, but then you're able to provide a perspective on things to others and it's going to be mutually beneficial. But when you're approaching a subject that you know about, I guess I would just say the more personal you go, but not triggering, the better. So when you have like low days with depression, if you have really low days, I guess just incorporate that into your character. It could benefit your book. It could be a convenient chapter when you don't know what else to write and you just want to write your character not being able to function properly. So for example, not being able to get out of bed, struggling with every single thing in their day, getting emotional over it, like feeling like they're not good enough, this feeling inside, this heavy weight on their chest when they're struggling genuinely and they either don't feel understood or they feel like there is something wrong with them, and them feeling like they're incapable of living a normal life like everyone else and feeling guilty about that. It's like, it's these little things. I don't even know how to explain it, but if you had depression or if you know about it, I guess write from the heart. That's the only thing. Don't write chapters that you think would be trendy. Write chapters that with the intention of making people cry because you just need a dramatic story, but write it because you feel the pain. You know what it's like and you want to have people relate to your stories. Write it from the heart. I don't have any advice on how to include it. Just, it's okay. Everybody struggles with mental health at times, or maybe all the time. I don't judge. I don't really know how to include them. You just do. Even with anxiety, it's like everyday things that throw you off. Everybody can go to a party and have fun, but like if you have anxiety, you genuinely can't bring yourself to go to a party, or you don't want to be there because you feel like everybody hates you, or if you say the wrong thing, everybody looks at you weird and you start thinking in your head, oh my god, did I say something wrong, blah 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 blah. Write a normal character. Write a character that has a normal life, but they have anxiety or they have depression or they have this and that and that. They're normal people with feelings and their mental health doesn't define them, but it is something they're struggling with. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm giving all the bad advice. I genuinely want to give advice, but I don't know what to say. What's the best way to make a book interesting? have a good character dynamic, have genuine friendships that are fun to read about, and have some drama as well. Because every single chapter there needs something interesting to be happening so that the reader is hooked. But obviously not every chapter is gonna be good. You're gonna have filler chapters. However, I would say just have some Easter eggs, have some foreshadowing, so that your readers are engaging with your story. They're making predictions, and you can also use some of their predictions that you would have never thought about and use them in your book later on. So I guess it's just constantly think about what's going to happen next. Think about all the things that you could do and how you could make things interesting. Plot twists, think about them. And if you're really evil, think about what your character really wouldn't want to have happen to them. For example, their boyfriend cheating, or I don't know, their parents dying, or sorry, or them dying, them getting sick, them getting into a car accident, their house burning down, them getting killed. I don't know. Whatever it is that fits your story, think about what they wouldn't like happen to them. What is one thing that would just make everything crash down? When you're writing a story and the tensions are rising, and when you're at like third quarter of the book, when you know something is supposed to happen to make everything crash down, every good thing is, now suddenly a bad thing, just think, what is one thing that would make this hurt most? Do you outline each chapter before you start the book? What's your basic writing process? I have a video on this if you're interested, where I talk about it kind of in depth, but the first 10 to 15 chapters, I don't write anything at all. I don't outline anything. I simply just sit down, write, and get familiar with the world. I can't plot anything out unless I am familiar with the world. I know the characters, at least to some degree. I know what places I have in the book that I can make the characters go to. I know basic reactions, basic character dynamics. So first 10 to 15 chapters are just for me getting myself familiar with the world. It's like therapy, sitting down and chatting with my characters. And then I plot out the next 10 chapters. And then once I'm done with that, I write them out on my computer. I write those 10 chapters, and then I move on and I plot out the next 10 chapters. And I allow myself to have the liberty to change my mind at any time, which is why I only do it by sections, 10 by 10 by 10, blah, blah, blah. And that's what kind of happens to help me most, just to plot everything out by parts and not have this big outline. Because I know I'm going to change my mind, and as I write the book, it's going to be over the span of many, many months. And I change as a person as well. So I tend to get bored of the idea that I've had in the beginning, and I want to do something else. So when I have the entire book plotted out, it doesn't make any sense anymore to just do something else. So that makes me have a writer's block, and I don't do it in the end. In the last 5 to 10 chapters, I don't plan out at all, because it's just tying up the loose ends and making everything come together like a piece of the puzzle. So that's kind of what I do. What got you interested in writing books? 2013, 2012 was the year I read The Hunger Games, The Mortal Instruments, Divergent, and all these stories that have shaped me into the reader that I am today. I guess what got me into writing was wanting to write books that inspired others as much as these books inspired me. Cassandra Clare was a big influence on me. I love her books so much. The Shadowhunter series, The Infernal Devices is like one of my top favorites. I mean, even now I have a tattoo that's like B, infinity sign, KS, which means like books are forever. And even when you're down, books are there. Even when life is going good, books are there. Even when you're not thinking about it, or not writing, or not reading, books are still there for you if you ever wanna go back. I guess I just wanted my readers to always know they have a friend. Which is so sappy, but it's so true. How many side characters is too many? Let me just name you all the side characters from Spring Break, and that is the reason why I don't think I am the right person to answer this question. Logan, Freddie, Preston, Grace, Amanda, Daniel, Ashton, Evangeline, Miles, Patrick, Trinity, Katie, Jesse's mom. We have Kyle, Cameron, Who else? I bet there's like a bunch more, but I'm not the right person to ask because I love side characters. How do you stay motivated to write? Discords, writer groups, I guess writing sprints as well. NaNoWriMo, which is gonna help me stay on track. By the way, I was supposed to write today, but I don't think I will. It's the first day and I'm already failing. Writing sprints in general really help with if you have writer friends and if you join the communities or like Discord channels, they really help. Have you ever experienced writer's block? How do you deal with it? I think I answered this in my last Q&A, but there are many ways to deal with writer's block. What would be the most relevant one that I do? The one that helps me most and that I do most often is delete the last scene that I wrote, or the last paragraph, or the last few paragraphs, or I don't know, just something. The last thing I wrote just isn't working out for me. So that is what's blocking me. And that is why I usually just stop writing in the middle of a chapter or in the middle of a book. Because there is one thing that I wrote last, the direction of the story that I went in, that just doesn't inspire me, or I have no idea what to do next. So delete that and rewrite it. Rewrite the entire thing, but don't write the same thing. Write something else. So for example, if you wrote about the characters going into a bookstore, but you don't know what to write next, just delete the bookstore scene and write the characters going to the cinema. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's so long, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope I gave you some helpful advice, even though I don't have all the answers to your questions. I never know anything, so kinda surprised that I know as much as I do. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell to keep yourself notified when I post more videos. All my social media links are down below, and I hope you have a great day.